In this episode of Mighty Car Mods, we are installing a turbocharger that we bought off eBay.
For $169.
Welcome to another episode of Mighty Car Mods, and we are super excited because today we're doing something we've never done before. We are installing an eBay turbocharger that was just $169. Now I know what you're asking, what kind of turbocharger is it? I'm glad you asked. The brand is Turbocharger and it is a TB28V. The V probably means V-band, I reckon.
Sure. Now, turbos like this have exploded onto the market all over the world because every country in the world wants some of that sweet boosty action that these things can supply, and we've never experimented with one. And so today's the day, and you can come along with us on this experimentationary mission.
Now the thing is, for 169 bucks, you can't go wrong. Actually, maybe you can. We're about to find out, but you're probably wondering, what turbocharger are we going to replace? Now we think this might be a kind of a Nissan compatible thing. Luckily, we've got some things that this can go on, but no, we're not just installing a turbocharger. Oh no, we're doing an eBay turbo conversion on Yaris Hilton. Shut the front door, shut the back door, open the laundry window because the cat needs to come in and out. Everybody, it's eBay turbo conversion, Yaris Hilton. Before we start, Martin, my friend over here, is going to show you exactly what you need to do to eBay turbocharge your piece of shit car.
Turbocharging your car is one of the most rewarding things you can do. Makes it faster, and unless you're into scraping the guts of your car off on fast food car park speed humps, you probably like performance and power, which we certainly do. This, we think, is a copy of a Nissan Turbo, like a T28. Hopefully it works. The next thing you need to turbo your car is a manifold to get the gas from your engine into this thing. We've bought a pre-made one, just saves time. You can make your own, that's the cheapest way, it takes a long time though, so we're gonna save a bit of time and just buy a pre-made one. That goes on there, that goes on the back of the engine. This makes spoolie things and makes your car go faster. You've also got to get the air out of this turbo and into your engine. To that you need pipes, you need silicone joiners, and you've also got to feed the turbo some water and some oil. So you need fittings to do that. Now you can buy kits for most cars that will just work, that come with everything. That's the easiest way to do it. It's also the most expensive. We're going to sort of go a bit homebrew and make some bits ourselves. We don't have a kit, and then we will show you exactly how it works. And this applies to most petrol cars.
So we have already got a Corolla engine in here. So the 1.3 litre is gone, the 1.8 litre is here. Martin! Looking in here, I just remembered something.
Oh, I forgot!
Yes!
Oh, yes!
Oh, so exciting. While Marty gets something, I just want to thank our sponsor for this video, which is absolutely f***ing no one. We're making this video ourselves because we want to, but if you do want to support the show, we've got these mad new shirts. This is the Mighty Car Mods Engine Heart shirt. Why is it an engine heart? There's an engine and there's a heart, and the heart is made up of like streets and maps. And that there is over your heart for lovers of engines and adventure. These are available. You can support the show. Thank you very much.
Look what we got.
At that!
Look what we got, and look where it goes. So this is the mount that Rob from Import Monster got for us.
It's from Japan, right?
He got it from like his local Toyota dealership in like Matsusaka or whatever, and then sent it over to us, which was the only way we could get our hands on one easily. And it's going to replace our Frankenstein motor mount. So this bit goes on there, and see, it brings the plate sort of forward and really skinny. And then this bolts on to the car like so, and that is what makes magic possible. Look at that, dude.
Oh man,
that's what we're missing the whole time.
Good. So we didn't have that
want.
part when we were doing the engine conversion, so
No.
Marty actually made up something, but now that we're going to be turbocharging it, more power, potentially more engine movement, which means things might break, so something like that is going to make all the difference of giving us a clean ride.
By the way, anyone who's put really hard engine mounts in their car, I mean, this is as hard as it gets. This is a steel engine mount that's put that in, knows it's really rough. It's actually not that fun to live with, and this means it'll actually drive probably a bit nicer. On the track it was great, but I think this will actually make it nicer to drive generally and positions the engine exactly where it needs to be.
Yeah, it did what it did, but I mean, sticking hard things in the front of the Yaris Hilton is just, that's what had to be done. But
exactly
actually
right.
we've got some rubber now, and we'll put that in there instead.
Always play it safe with the rubber.
So what we're going to do is we're going to jack up the car. We don't have a hoist here. Everyone says, why don't you have a hoist? I'm not allowed to have one here, just because we can't.
Not the right slab for it.
Not the right floor, not the right place. Can't do it, but we got some quick jacks. We're going to load the car up. That's right, load up Yaris Hilton. Then we're going to just start removing stuff.
This has to come off.
The weird rain shield has to come off. Most of this is going to have to happen underneath the car.
Yep.
And the other thing we're going to have to investigate is already with these tyres, which are 195s, at the track we were losing power. Not losing power, we're losing traction. Literally smoking up the tyres, smoking up rubber on the internet.
That's what happens.
That's the way that it did. And so we're going to need to put some wider tyres on there as well, maybe some angle grinders and some James Bond effect. The OG Mighty Mods fans know what I'm talking about, but we may need some James Bond effect. Is that it? Should we jack it up?
You do it from the top and I'll do it from the bottom.
Great, let's get to it. Let's push it over here, get it on the stands. Let's turbocharge a Yaris, everyone.
Turbocharging a car from scratch can be a big job, especially if your model car never had a turbo variant, meaning that you can't use factory parts. It's also a tricky job on this particular car because much like certain Volkswagens, the exhaust manifold is at the back on the firewall side, not on the front of the car. And while we could have installed some of these parts while the engine was out of the car, the plan at that point was actually to keep it naturally aspirated. Stupid, I know, but you also need to know where everything else sits in relation to each other to know for sure that it's actually going to work. We're going to strip off as much as we can to help with access, which luckily for us is quite straightforward on Yaris Hilton. Our window of access to get to the exhaust side of the head is all done from underneath, so our driver's side drive shaft also needs to be removed. And now a message from our sponsor, which is us.
Does your car smell like balls, bong smoke, sweat, soy sauce, or in the case of any Nissan owner, all of the above? Well then I can highly recommend you get the JDM inspired Mighty Car Mods air freshener. This is JDM melon scent inspired by the vending machines of Japan. Delicious JDM melons. Get that up there and balls and bong smoke be gone. If we had smell-o-vision, you'd just be going, oh, that's a delicious smell. That smells melony and delicious.
How good are turbos on the back of the engine, Golf owner? Aren't they the best thing?
Let me prepare for the bullshit that's about to spew out of your mouth, but I'll go with it, yes. Why is this Yaris just like a Golf R, Martin?
Okay, this is basically a Golf R because the turbo is going to be in the same place as on a Golf R. And it's a 4-cylinder, and it's going to be powerful and reliable and stylish and just mildly boring, but awesome at the same time.
Okay,
You can't argue with any of those things about a Golf, can you?
If you're going for a super budget build at this point, you can rework the original exhaust manifold to feed the turbo, which can save you some precious dollary dues. The manifold and turbo are going to be test fitted and removed, then refitted lots and lots of times while we work out where everything goes. And as you can see here, no, it's not even close to fitting.
So I'm taking off this smashed front end. As you know, we didn't even bother repairing this last time because it just fit. But it's now getting removed because unlike last time, we now need space for the front mount intercooler. We're going full VL style, the Church Street special. How are you going, Martin?
I'm going well. We now have to do some turbo cocking, turbo clocking. Clocking.
CL.
Yeah, what do you think I said?
Nothing.
Where we have to rotate the turbo. That includes rotating the core. So the manifold sits like that. It's like a low mount, I guess you'd call it. And then the turbo needs to go like that. But currently, our outlet is facing directly back towards our engine. So we're going to point that down so we can get that out into an intercooler. We'll make an intake that comes up, and we'll make a dump pipe that goes off the side. But currently, this is absolutely and completely upside down. So the core is the wrong way. That's the drain. The drain needs to go on the bottom. This has to go clock down also. We have to move the wastegate when we undo that. So we're going to basically loosen everything off the turbo, turn it all around, put it back together, and hope that it works.
Martin, you're a very clever boy, aren't you?
No.
Anyone that says you're stupid, I don't agree with them.
But you're the only person who says I'm stupid, so you're disagreeing with yourself.
I never said you're stupid.
Well, one time you did, remember?
Well,
When
that was
thing
stupid
happened?
though,
Well, what's
because
done,
no
yeah.
one should ever buy. You can beat that.
I've never
But
bought
that
it.
was a stupid thing to do.
I never bought
That's a
one.
stupid car And most of the cars you buy are rubbish, but that was a stupid decision, and we both regret that you bought
Most of
that.
the car I buy are rubbish. Dude, I always buy awesome cars.
Dude, everybody out there knows, look at the cars that I buy. I love you, man, but
Do you
look at
remember?
the cars I buy, look at the cars you buy. Which cars would you rather in your garage? A VTEC Mini, a Golf R, a 240Z with a GTR engine in it, or would you rather have... Actually, your cars are damn cool, aren't
Do you
they?
remember that time when you bought a Yaris with a 1.5 litre engine that we needed?
No, I did buy a 1.5 litre engine and you picked up 1.3 litre, which is now 1.8 litre and it's been turbocharged. No, Martin, you're a clever boy.
It's escalated,
I
hasn't
don't
it?
believe what anyone says.
No
All
one
right, so
says
we're
anything.
going to clock the turbo, Martin,
We're clocking it.
and then it's going on.
It is.
We're going to be boosting by tomorrow afternoon.
That'd be nice.
Optimistic, but not impossible. Our turbo, however, is just a little bit odd.
This turbo is for a Nissan, so it may not work. But we also bought the cheapest turbo on the internet.
Yeah.
So what do you expect?
And it has to be rotated because there's a shit in the way here.
Yeah, there's an engine in the way. But that's a good thing. You just loosen these bolts off and then give them a little twiddle and around he goes. Wastegate's off, so we can now rotate. The exhaust housing is looking good. We've got the oil feed going that way, the water line's coming out, and then the oil return going down.
I'm replicating our engine, so based on how the car is sitting, that is going to be on the back of the engine, like
Yep.
that, full Golf style.
So the turbo could go two ways, right? It could go that way, or it could go, which gives us more clearance around the back of the motor, but we'd have to rotate our outlet sort of like there, and it has to be compatible with our wastegate, or it could go that way, which would be neater, but I don't know if it actually fits, so we're gonna have to test fit and have a look. Like that looks way neater, hey?
It does.
You know, so it's more, can we fit that? And that's how you'd see it on a Nissan, like a GTR or something would be that way.
Yeah.
So now I think we just need to get under the car with this, and we'll be able to lock our rotation in, make the wastegate work, and then
Cool. Let's
connect
get under
it.
the car and do it.
We've hit our first major snag, and that is that the turbo hits on everything. The manifold is designed for a T25 or 28 turbo, but they can be different sizes externally, especially when you're dealing with one like ours. We're committed, so we're cutting off some unused mounting holes at the back of the engine, as well as the front of the exhaust, which we'll have to remake anyway.
I will not forget you and everything we were. I will not forget you.
A wise man once said, we bought the wrong shit. Well, we didn't really, it's just that this shit doesn't fit. Because we put an engine from a car that's not supposed to be in this car. In a Corolla, it would fit perfectly, but in the Yaris, it clashes with stuff. Namely, our steering, because you can actually mount the turbo two ways, that way or that way, which we may have explained earlier. If it was in a Corolla, you could go bang and it would fit because there's not a massive steering rack in the way. We have to put the turbo this way. Now, this side is clashing with the engine. Even if we sort of rotate it to get it out of the way and make it as skinny as possible, it's still just a little bit too big that away. So
Yep.
what we're gonna do is space it down.
So the way we're going to do that is basically get a bit of plate. We're going to cut out the same size as this flange here, drill holes in it, put some studs in it. That should give us another kind of 20 mil or so, which will space it further away from all the stuff that it's hitting. And that's the plan.
That is. It's fouling on like a Welch plug where they machine the block and then they put a little cap in it. There's actually one of those, and you can't grind that away. There's other ribs and stuff on the back of it that's made out of aluminium that doesn't really do much, and you can just get rid of it, but unfortunately it's just contacting. So what we're doing is dropping it down so that plug is no longer clashing here, it's sitting there. Courier just came in.
We've had a delivery, everybody.
Awesome.
This here, I imagine, is a front mount intercooler by the looks of things.
Hope so.
And this here is other things that make cars make choo-choo noises.
Turbo bits.
First things first, we're installing our legit JDM 5000 engine mount so the engine is positioned exactly where Mr. Toyota intended it. It's easily accessed from the top of the car with a 14mm spanner.
So when Toyota design an engine, it's likely they're going to put it in a bunch of different cars. They don't want to have to change everything. They can just change one part, which in this case is this mount that bolts to the side of the engine and then that mount that connects it to the car. So in our case, you can see it's the same bolt pattern, but what it's doing is moving this mounting face forward and into this space where we've actually got room, because the old one was too far in and too far just wrong. So that now goes in the bin, and then this one bolts up in the same position that the old one did, and then hopefully that will connect to the car. And this is designed for Toyota XDs, which is like some American thing, or just Scion XDs I think they are, which is like an American, is that a Toyota thing? Like Acura is Honda?
Yeah, Scions are Toyotas, I think, because they've got another car. It's called a Scion something. That's what we call a Toyota something.
Yeah, right. And so, and
no
also
idea.
in Europe as well, Yaris did come with a 1.8 litre, but I don't think it was this exact one. Or maybe it was. Who knows? Yaris people will know, and they'll tell us.
I gave you everything, and you gave it all away. What can I do when there's nothing left to say? You were everything I was, and everyone I am.
With our brand new engine mount installed, this little Yaris is going to be so much nicer to drive. And now we can move on to our epically oversized front mount intercooler.
Oh, that's a good one, Martin.
Do it properly. Do a thing.
That's what it's all
Test
about.
it properly. So good. That's good, man. Brand new. They always sound so good when they're brand new, don't they?
Let's see what it looks like, Martin.
Stop it.
Look at that.
That looks so good. Stop it
Far out.
right now.
We don't even need to chop that much out. I mean,
No.
maybe here to get some pipes
We'll
through.
go around, man. We'll go around the outside. Whoop. Through there.
I've just got to make some little brackets here
We're hanging off the top
that
as
we
well.
can,
Yeah, I feel
beyond all
look,
this plastic stuff.
look, there's holes, so we'll just make some little brackets straight to there.
Yeah, even just a strap, hey?
Yep.
Just strap, hole, done.
And just center it up.
With the intercooler core in its rough position, now we can work out exactly how much of the bar needs to be cut out for maximum airflow and maximum street cred.
So the next job here is I'm just going to cut out the space for the front mount intercooler. And at the moment I'm thinking maybe we just keep it subtle, like maybe I just cut out this little bit at the bottom here. So yeah, well, I'm not going subtle anymore, I'm just chopping the whole thing out.
Our incredible VL spec intercooler will be secured with some aluminium straps that will bolt onto the top of the cooler and then onto the upper radiator support. Aluminium is quick and easy to work with, which makes it perfect for this kind of job. And yes, that's a tech screw.
I just want it to be known for the record that my good friend Martin here wanted to put nutserts behind here, get 4 of them in there, nice and tidy, bolted in, and I was like, no, we're using tech screws. So I just want it to be clear where that direction came from. We now have 4 tech screws holding our front mount in.
And the question is it going to hold the front mount in? Absolutely it is.
We'll find out, Martin.
Oh my God, look at it.
Looks amazing.
So epic. Wow. Wow. Is that a different angle to that?
No, it's just the way that you're looking at it.
What happened with the jigsaw?
You know, it just ran away from me, man.
Really?
I was just,
What'd you say to
I
it?
drew a line and I was going, "Nyeh," and then it just, whoa, like up it went. So every time we look at that, we can know that that was me that did that.
Wow. Hey, Cheryl. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, it's really bad. He tried.
All right, I need to fix up that bumper and then we are on to the intercooler piping. Now we have got lots of silicon joiners that we've bought and that we've got from other projects and bits of pipe. So we're going to lay it all out and try and Lego this intercooler piping together. Using silicon joiners simplifies and speeds up this process because it limits the amount of welding that we need to do.
It's a new day of working on our awesome Yaris. I'm starting to get very excited by how this looks.
I'm not starting to get excited because that would insinuate that I wasn't excited before. I'm already excited.
Look at it, man. And I like the angle that we're going for, like just make it work.
Yes, that's right.
This is totally achievable. Minimal welding, minimal fabrication, just bolt some stuff on, make
Yes.
some boosty noises and have a good time. What we did manage to do, so we're having problems yesterday with getting the turbo to clear the back of the engine. It just doesn't
Because the
fit.
turbo's so big. No, I mean, literally too big. It didn't fit.
It is a kind of a big turbo. What's possibly the case is that if you get that turbo off like an S13 or something, it's just physically a tiny bit smaller.
Yeah.
Ours, because it's the cheapest turbo on the internet of that size, is probably just bigger. So anyway, it doesn't quite fit. But what we need to do is space it down, which is not uncommon. A lot of the time, if you've got a mad Nissan, you might put a spacer on there because your turbo housing's bigger and it sits up that way. In our case, it goes that way. And what we're also doing is by welding these flanges together, we are changing the angle slightly so it kicks out that way. And the only other thing we've had to do is put some longer studs in because that's the ones it comes with and they're just way too short.
Because
So
this is where the turbo's hitting, this is the engine and turbo's hitting here.
Yeah, this side,
So what Marty's done very cleverly is cocked that
I've cocked it.
that way so that it's actually going to give a little bit more space. And that's just two flanges that
It's
are
just two
welded together.
flanges. You can buy these as like proper made CNC'd spacers, but you can't get them in a day or overnight. So we just grab these, weld them together. That'll work perfectly for our, what we're doing. And also the back of our turbo is V-band, as we showed you, but it also came with this. And our exhaust pipe is that exact size.
Yeah.
So we'd probably just delete the V-band because we're just wasting bits that we don't need to use, and we'll just weld our exhaust pipe directly to this.
Yep.
And so hopefully if that fits and the turbo fits, that side of it's done, and we can actually get our intercooler working.
Amazing. Tech screws in a front mount. I can't really be hating, it was my idea. He didn't want to do it, and now I don't want to do it. I lost sleep over this last night, so I'm going to fix it.
While I'm deleting the tech screws, Marty's adding longer studs to the manifold to accommodate the spacer that we had to make to reposition the turbo. I'm also adjusting the intercooler straps to reposition the core so it'll fit better in the front bar.
All right, so I've repositioned the front mount, lifted it up a little bit, and added some nuts and bolts for a novel little bit of fendoogling. And hopefully now, if I put that in, it's looking much better. Hold on, here we go. There we go. How's
Mad.
that?
Looks sick. Big, dirty front mount, Yaris Hilton.
Oh, that's actually got to come, this whole thing's got to come down a little bit, like. Anyway, basically going to look like that.
Mad.
How you going, mate?
Good. Our turbo's on and our spacer's on. So now if that fits in the vehicle, except I'll probably remove that
Oh, good.
because that wouldn't be great to go through the engine. If this fits our vehicle, now we can plumb it. Oil
Yeah,
in and
nice.
out, oil in and out, cooling in and out, put the wastegate back on.
Yeah, yep.
But I'm going to do one last test fit under the car to make sure it fits.
Yeah, awesome.
And then I think we're good.
Do the final cock on it
The final cock.
and then put it on.
Yeah.
Martin, we're getting somewhere.
That looks cool, eh?
It looks really good.
That's exciting. I don't know why. Pipes and things into this spinny thing.
Yeah,
but you just
mad.
know what it results in. It results in more power.
That's right. Let's test fit it, man. Let's
Okay.
take it under right now and do it.
I'll see if I can get it up in one piece. That will be handy if I can.
What about the turbo? Up a bit. Yep, there it is.
She goes.
How are we looking, man? Does it fit?
Pretty good, yeah. I'm going to give the comp cover a little bit of love just with a grinder,
Yep.
but I'm pretty happy with that.
Because we cocked the turbo, the wastegate bracket didn't actually fit anymore, but we just smashed it with some tuna and peanuts. And now it appears to be working great.
Awesome. One of those occasions where beating stuff up with a hammer actually works. That looks excellent, man. That looks really good.
That's great.
It's
now
on
we've just
there.
got to do the other side, Martin.
And no welding required.
No welding.
For a 1,000,000 horsepower car or a megawatt car, I heard a megawatt car the other day. That's when you got 1,000 kilowatts. Anyway, this looks really good. And
Full
no welding
90
required.
spec, different coloured silicon, because
Yep.
that's what we had.
That's how we roll.
And
That's neat. It's asking to be turbo, doesn't it?
just going to make sure it's not rubbing on anything.
Uh-oh.
And currently it's not. But
not
I'm just
rubbing?
going to put a little bit of rubber down there. I
Good
can
thing
cut
it's
that
rubbing
off,
on.
but that's the brake, so probably not. All right, that's looking good.
Amazing. All right, I'll get the turbo on and we can do the other side.
Yes.
How much power you reckon this thing's going to make, man? Now she's turboed.
Well, now it's turboed. I like your enthusiastic and
it's
positive
happening.
thinking.
It's happening.
Well, it's undynoed. How much power do Corollas make at the wheels? 70 kilowatts at
Well,
the
that's
wheels?
like 105 at the engine, so it's going to be like 80 on a good day, 85.
Okay. So I reckon we'll get like a 25 to 30% increase. I reckon it'll make like 115 kilowatts at the wheels.
Yeah, I was going to say like 124. I'm in the
124.
same ballpark as you, roughly.
Well, you know what? My bet will be 115. Yours can be 124.
Yep.
And the winner,
Will be Scotty, because he'll know exactly what it is, because he'll just do the maths.
that's true. But out of you and me, whoever gets closest, the other one will give them 5,000 rupiah.
5,000 rupiah?
5,000 rupiah.
I don't know if I have 5,000 rupiah.
Well, I don't know how much that is, but we'll do a conversion. Actually, we don't need to know how much, because in the comments right now,
Someone will tell
people are
us.
doing the conversion and they're letting us know. So 5,000 rupiah, whoever gets closest. 110?
You said 117, didn't you? 114?
I can't remember what I said.
You're saying 110.
115. And you're saying 124.
I'll go 127, so there's a bit more.
You should go
gap.
128.
128.
128, 115. 5,000 rupiah, that's the wager.
Done.
We'll find out soon enough.
The actuator runs off boost pressure and opens the wastegate, which controls the turbine speed and resulting boost pressure. When you cock the turbo, you often have to remount it in the appropriate spot. In our case, we need a new bracket as the old one won't fit no matter how much tuner we throw at it. I'm using a hand-operated pump to make sure the wastegate opens when pressure is applied. With that installed, we can put on the dump pipe flange and put it on the back of the turbo once again to test fit to the car. Now it's time to install our turbo oil drain return into the sump. Like many modern engines, our 2ZR FE has a small metal sump plate rather than a traditional bowl, so we have to drill a hole and tap a thread into the aluminium of the lower block. I'm creating a matching thread on a fitting which will then screw in. Now that there's somewhere for the oil to return to, we need to feed it into the turbo. The most straightforward location to steal some high pressure oil is to tee off the oil pressure sensor. It's conveniently located right next to our turbo location, and with an adapter and braided line, we'll have no problems getting the turbo all oiled up. The oil feed is now finished and the oil pressure sensor can be plugged back in. Now it's time to move on to the dump pipe, which is welded directly to the exhaust flange. Finally, the sump can be re-slazzed and refitted. It needs plenty of time to dry properly before we can fill it back up with oil.
So the next job is we've mocked up all of the piping for our intercooler, and we've just got to get a bead rolled on the end of these pipes so we don't blow off the silicon with all of our massive amounts of boost that we're going to be running. So I'm doing this side, Marty's doing that side,
Yep.
and then make sure there's oil going down to the turbo, and we're close, aren't
Fill
we?
it full of oil, put some oil back in the gearbox. I've already sort of put the drive shaft back in place. It might leak again like it did last time, so we'll get on top of that. I couldn't do this side of the piping because until the turbo was located, you couldn't actually do the piping because you didn't know where it was going to go. So now it's bolted in, I can actually run the hot side, you finish the cold side, we're more or less there.
Excellent, man.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear the dose from Yaris Hilton.
We're using a bead roller, which is a handy tool to have when you're making intercooler pipes. It adds this bead to the end, which means we won't blow off our silicon when we're running massive amounts of boost.
We don't have the right shaped silicon joiner for the hot side of our intercooler setup, so to save some time, we'll cut and weld some of the aluminium pipe into the correct shape instead.
So a cheap turbo has like a really weird mismatch of bits and pieces. I've got a few bits from back in the day, like fitting kits and other random stuff that I've purchased over the time that I'm trying to find to fit the turbo. Now this isn't the turbo, this is a Subaru turbo, which is probably what we should have actually used because then everything would just work. But what I'm doing is stealing the oil drain off it because we don't have an oil drain that fits our turbo. No idea what it is, how it works. This one looks like it's going to match. So I'll put this on, add a drain, add some oil, start the car. Put all the lifeblood back in.
That's right, we're using Castrol Edge fluid titanium technology. It says here this is suitable for BMWs, Porsches, Renaults, and it would appear Yaris Hilton as well.
This is
Pretty
universal gearbox oil, which reckons it's GL4 and GL5. And gearbox oil nerds will know usually they're separate. So universal is cool. Either way it'll work in our gearbox. The oil drain is done. The oil drain needs a fitting that just didn't show up that I ordered. So waiting on the fitting, but for now I've connected the hose just so we can actually start it.
Nice.
And the next thing to do now we've got oil in it is to check that the oil feed, we're actually seeing oil come out of it. And if we are, that means the turbo will get fed oil because that turbo is going to need oil or she's going to die.
Yeah, so basically what we'll do is we'll just, it's disconnected at the moment, isn't it, Marty?
What's that?
The feed? Yeah,
black
here.
one, yeah.
So basically put the oil in the car, start it up, make sure oil comes out of there. If oil does come out, plug it into the turbo.
Yeah, we'll just crank it. We'll disconnect the crank or cam sensor or whatever just so it doesn't actually start. We just want to get oil pressure and then see oil pressure come out of that.
Great.
There you go, gearbox is full.
Excellent. Engine oil is good also.
So we'll just plug in the airflow meter just so it sees it. It's going to be all over the shop, but the purpose of this is not so much to run the car, it's just to actually crank it and see if we have not messed it up too badly. Just clean the gearbox oil off the fuse box because that's pretty standard too. So what we're looking for is oil to come out of here.
Yeah.
If it drips out of there, we'll make a little container or something. And if it drips out, then we know the oil's getting oil pressure, which we've tapped off the back of the oil pressure sensor. Really standard, easy way to do it with a little double adapter T-piece thing. We don't have an oxygen sensor in it anymore because it doesn't apply. We reconnect our brake booster, which is here somewhere. Is there a hose there somewhere? This thing. That's our brake booster. That needs to go back on.
I'll just try putting the key in without this, which means the car won't start because the security won't activate. And then that should crank along and hopefully there's a little bit of joy, Martin.
Just give it a real quick crank, make sure it doesn't make any funny noises.
Oh, is the battery connected again?
No, that would help, wouldn't it?
I think so.
Why so much suspense? Hey!
Oil coming out?
We got oil! So now we have to connect this to the turbo.
Excellent.
And then we can start it.
So good.
I'm
Let's do
actually
it.
very, extremely nervous because we have messed with so much of this car. But there
Look
it
at
is.
that. That is success. I mean, what we're seeing there looks like a sample that you'd give to a doctor of something that's not quite right. Some kind of infection. But there it is.
So,
Success.
just going to attach this to the turbo. And now the turbo will be getting fed sweet oil and we'll crank it a bit more to try and get some oil through the turbo. Just tighten that up. Right, so the oil pressure feed has been connected. I'll get under it and just make sure nothing comes out of it now that we're actually getting oil through the turbo.
No worries, tell me when, man. It wants to go.
It wants to go. It just won't stay running, will it?
No.
Yeah, okay, cool.
The car won't run for long enough for us to see if the turbocharger is actually working. So we're removing the airflow meter from the factory airbox, and then we're going to cut it up and insert it in the intercooler piping. This way we'll see if the car can run long enough for us to see if the turbo is choo-chooing.
So we've just cut the factory airflow meter out of the airbox and just adapted it with, well, using some super glue and some spacers and some silicone. We're going to plug that in because we want some choo-choo noises. So that's been done. We've done it really dodgy. It's not going to live like that, but at least we can see whether it's going to make the turbo noises that we want so
See if we
badly.
can keep it running, basically.
All right,
All right,
let's
do it.
turn the key again. Yeah!
So good! Yaris
All right,
Hilton.
everybody. We have got a Toyota
Yaris
Yaris
Hilton.
with a Corolla engine. It's been turbocharged. There's smoke coming out. Well
Normal,
done, Martin.
standard. Good job. That was a big job.
All right, Martin.
All right.
Let's go through the actual cost of installing a $169 turbo on your car, because it's all good and well to say it's $169, but how much was it really?
Exactly. So you need a few other things to make your turbo kit work, but you can potentially make all that stuff, recycle all that stuff. We recycled a few bits and pieces, but also shopped around and bought stuff off the internet. A lot of it was in US dollars because it came from either America or China or places that deal in US dollars when you're buying stuff. So we'll tell you the prices in US dollars and then we'll convert them for you. The turbo, as we said, $169. That doesn't come with a lot of stuff with it, like not a lot of fittings. So we had to spend some money on fittings as well. Notably, an oil feed line that was $70, an intercooler 100. You can get them even cheaper than that. This is a standard 600 by 300 by 3-inch outlet core. They're all over the internet for dirt cheap. We had to buy it, get it quickly because we didn't know what was going to fit, so we paid about 100 for it.
Late 90s, early 2000s, an intercooler kit for like an S15 cost $1.5 grand.
Exactly.
$1,500.
So
Crazy.
we got our return hose, $18, exhaust pipe, $60, intercooler pipe kit, so you can buy them off the internet. That's a really good way to do it with alloy bends, and it comes with the silicons as well. About $150, and miscellaneous fittings maybe $80. Now, you're also going to be noticing that we used a manifold, pre-made one. So
It worked great.
except it didn't fit at all, and that actually ate up probably a day of trying to work that out of where it was going to go, because it just doesn't fit this car, because this car has a steering rack in the way.
Yeah.
So had to cut that up and move it around and mess with it, which is unfortunate.
Can I, on that point, a lot of people when they talk about cost of mods, they only use the currency of money.
Yes.
But there's also the currency of time,
Absolutely.
you know? And so, you know, can you save a day's worth of time by spending $500, or do you want to save that and spend the thing? It kind of goes two ways. So it's one thing to talk about the currency of money, and it's another thing to talk about the currency of time. That manifold, which was a couple of $100, it's like, we got the worst of both worlds because we spent the money and then wasted all of it.
To try and get it done quickly, well, let's buy a pre-made manifold, slap it on, stick the turbo on and go. Of course, it never works out that well. You can buy a kit that has everything in it, but I don't suggest you buy it for a right-hand drive Yaris in this particular case, because it just doesn't work. Maybe in America it does work on left-hand
In this
drive
configuration though, not happening.
So not happening. So they're about $250, which is still pretty good for the quality of that manifold. It's a good quality manifold. The casting is really good. It just doesn't fit our car properly, or fits our engine but not our car. So we're looking at including the manifold. Oh, hi Cheryl. We're looking at including the manifold, $910 US.
Yeah,
For
that's
all
pretty
the
good.
hardware to turbo the car. Now that doesn't include management. You've put more air in the car, so now you need more fuel. If you've got the kind of car you can reflash the ECU, you can potentially just reflash it or put some injectors in. You are done on low boost. We're going to have to run a piggyback or something.
That's
to get
tricky
that to
with
work.
Toyotas, right? Doing
Exactly.
That stuff.
So the conversion, so in US dollars, 910, Australian dollars, $1,322, and 700 Great British pounds for all the hardware to turbo your very much non-turboed car.
Less than the price back in the day of an intercooler. You
Now,
can do the whole thing.
I said 910 US dollars. A kit to do what we've done, but also includes the computer to run it. So drive in, drive out. Doesn't include a tune. You'd still need to get it
and
dynoed.
not labour, obviously.
And no labour. $3,195 US dollars.
Wow.
So it's a third of that
That's
to
pretty
get to
good.
the point where the hardware is done. But is it easier?
The other thing as well I want to say on cost is a lot of people, you know, often you say, oh, I did this thing for $500, I did this for $200. They go, but I don't have a welder, I don't have a thing. Because all of those things are going to be specific to the kind of build. And when you get a cookbook and they go, how to make a meal for under $10, I don't know if people write to them and go, but I don't have a knife.
But the
or a chopping board.
The blender was
I don't even have an oven. So, you know, it's, look, take it with a grain of salt. Everything you see on the internet is going to be a bit real. It's going to be a bit unreal.
And we've tried to do it. We've tried to do it as budget as possible with as much stuff we had lying around as we could, just to see, because you could throw more money at it and potentially it takes less time, but potentially we still run into fitment problems and it still takes ages.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy that it works. It makes choo-choo noises. So there's some stuff to tidy up and some things to make it actually run. Maybe you have to slap some bigger injectors in.
Yeah.
Which we'll cover.
But next time on Mighty Commons, we're going to find out exactly how much power it's going to make, how it drives, all the good stuff.
If it's going to explode.
See who wins 5,000 rupees. There it is. Thank you very much for watching. We don't do Patreon or that other stuff, but if you do want to support the show, we have heaps of merchandise and we ship it from here in Sydney, Australia, all over the world. And New Engine Heart t-shirts.
Air
We've
fresheners.
got keychains, key tags, we got hats, we got beanies, we got all sorts of really cool stuff. You can find all of that at mightycarmods.com.
Thanks for watching. It's been a long one.
It's been
But
epic.
a good one.
It's been epic. But
I'm
thank
really
you very
proud
much
of
for
it.
watching. And Martin, now we can go and get a vegan salad bowl with cashew cheese. Do you know what that is? They grind up
Cashew
cashews
cheese.
and they kind of make a cheesy kind of substance that you'd normally find in your pants.
Didn't
after
we
a
talk
day at the
about
hospital.
not doing meat replacements?
No, we just occasionally we just have a little bit of cashew cheese.
Yuck.
I'm trying to nut off down here, Martin, but I need to get my hand around your tool first.
Yeah, there you go. That's my tool, but I've got another tool
12 mil?
here,
Okay.
and there's this little tiny one that's sort of like buried right in the bottom,
Oh, yes.
and I think if you do the one at the top,
Oh,
I'll go with this one
man.
at the
Someone
bottom.
has been here before. This was so loose.
Oh, really?
I don't know if this is because of last time we did it, but
Right.
there's, like,
See,
on the top here of this, it was just finger tight. I'm literally 2 fingers bashing away, and it's coming out.
See, I think mine is so just thrashed that it's actually rounded off. Like
Really?
It's had such a workout that the end of it's just lost all its like definition and
Wow.
just really bad, man.
Man, this one's weird. It's completely white, and then the tip of it's pink.
Really?
Yeah, I've never really seen that before.
Oh man, this one is giving me a fight.
Can you reach?
I might actually need some lube.
Can you reach that one there? Can you put your hand around mine and push up at the same time?
Yeah, probably. Hold on.
Yep. Just put your fingers on mine.
Yep.
Put your
done.
push for now. Push me.
Yep,
Push it.
done.
Ah! Oh man!
Did
I
that
smashed
really
my finger, but it went right in.
Did it smash it badly?
Yeah, that's all right. Sometimes
me?
you need to do some finger smashing to
I'm
get
just
the
gonna
job
lube
done.
up this one.
Are there any more other than these 2 up here?
I can't
Or can
see
this come
them.
off?
There's so much stuff in the way that I can't actually see. But the bottom one I've lubed up a bit, and hopefully now it'll let me. Put my
Can you
finger
pass
on
that
it.
up here?
The lube, yeah.
Yeah, from the outside. My
There you
other
go.
hand's over
There
here.
you go. Oh, it's dripping, man.
Hold on. Just watch your eyes for a second.
Yep.
Watch
go.
your eyes, because it's shooting out.
Yep, go.
Oh, there it is.
Oh,
I got it right on the hole
Got me in
too.
the face a little bit. But
Sorry.
it's part of it.